Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to our regular council meeting of May 25th, 2016. All members are present except for Councillor Flesch. I think he might be on his way. I remind everyone at today's meeting to please ensure all cell phones or other electronic devices are turned off or placed in a non-audible mode during the course of the meeting. Council members are reminded to please refrain from sending texts and emails during the meeting. I also wish to remind members of council of a discussion that occurred at the Member Services Committee, I think a week or so ago, wherein the clerk requested to advise the meeting chair when members have spoken more than twice during debate on a matter before council in order to enforce council's own procedure bylaw and contribute to an orderly and effective meeting, that the procedure bylaw allows members to speak up to 2 different times on a matter at up to 5 minutes each. I urge members to be mindful of this rule when speaking on a matter during today's meeting. Members of council, there are a few agenda changes identified on the package in front of you. I'll ask the city clerk to review the changes for today's agenda since its publication last Friday. Mr. Fay.
Mayor Jeffrey, members of council, and members of the public that are here today. Item 8.3, which is a report from Donald Rosa, Director of Recreation and Culture Public Services, regarding the Canada 150 Fund activities-based, is distributed with today's agenda and is distributed to you this morning. In addition, there are 2 closed session reports. Item 21.4, report from Ann Pritchard, Manager Realty Services, regarding a property acquisition matter in Ward 8, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, as well as item 21.5, a report from Ann Pritchard, Manager Realty Services, regarding a property acquisition matter, and the correct ward location is Ward 10. It was identified as Ward 8 on the published agenda, and it is a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. In addition, in regard to item 3.1, the minutes of City Council for May 11th, there is a replacement cover page on that agenda. It's to indicate that Regional Councillor Gibson did return to the meeting at 2:23 before it adjourned. He had declared a conflict of interest and was absent for a portion of the meeting, but he did return before the meeting adjourned. As well, in regard to item 18.1, Regional Council business, there is a briefing report in front of you from the Office of the Chief Administrative Officer regarding the Regional Municipality Appeal Council meeting agenda on Thursday, May 26th. And those are the changes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have some questions on 10.1, the Member Services Committee. I believe that most of my questions or comments are appropriate to be asked in public, but there may be a need to go in camera, so I'm wondering if we can put a placeholder on the in-camera agenda in the event that, rather than having some chaos or confusion when I ask my questions, can we just put a placeholder there in the event that we have to...
Mayor Jeffrey, through you, the item 10.1 are public minutes from the Member Services Committee. So if council needs to go in closed session under the Municipal Act, we need to be very specific in terms of what exemption we are going into closed session for. So we need to know the substance and perhaps a conversation with the solicitor.
In that case, I can be more specific. It may be on identifiable individuals.
Okay. So the placeholder. Thank you, Councillor Moore. I would like to add a report from the head of council. This is item 7.1, which is essentially going to speak to the questions that were outstanding from our facilitation event a week and a half ago with regards to the questions that city councillors were being asked. So I'm just a placeholder to remind them to get their homework done when we get there. Okay? And I have a motion moved by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Willens, that the agenda of the regular council meeting of May 25th be approved as printed and circulated, adding item 7.1. All those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried. Do any members have a declaration of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act for any matter to be considered on today's agenda? Councillor Bowman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to, in abundance of caution, declare a conflict of interest in the minutes where we discussed Caribram at length, and I declared a conflict on the Caribram issue during that council meeting. So I would like to declare a conflict on accepting the minutes as well.
Through you, Madam Mayor, you have to state the reason for your declaration.
My son does graphic works for Care Brand. Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Gibson.
Okay, in lieu of what Councilwoman just did, I have to ask the clerk, do we need to declare a conflict on that? Because my understanding was we wouldn't, because both the mayor and I had declared a conflict on the in-camera portion of the last council meeting. And my understanding was when the minutes came back, we did not have to declare that again.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, my advice to council, although it's very limited advice we can provide on conflicts of interest, is when minutes, even though the minutes are here for approval, the decisions have already been made by council at the last meeting. So there's no second decision that's required today. So if a member does declare a conflict on minutes, then theoretically it would be a never-ending cycle of declaring conflicts on minutes, because those minutes will come back.
I just wanted to be clear, because Councilwoman just brought it up, and I didn't want the mayor and I going there, well, we had declared a conflict too. But
And that's been addressed.
we've always done it, and the way I understand it, as long as we declared it at that meeting, when the decisions were made, we're okay, we don't have to continue. Okay, then I don't have to declare it then. Thank you.
It's all right.
Okay, so do we have a motion? A motion moved by Councillor Williams, seconded by Councillor Moore, that the minutes of the regular city council meeting be approved as printed and circulated. All those in favor? That's carried. We now move on to the part of the agenda dealing with announcement. Council, today we have 3 announcements. Our first announcement is regarding Seniors Month, June 2016. Donna Martin is here, President of the Seniors Council, to make this announcement. Councillor Bowman is the council sponsor for the announcement. Councillor Bowman, did you wish to speak first?
No, I'll speak on it.
Welcome, Mrs. Martin.
Mayor Jeffries, councilors, city employees, honored guests. It's my pleasure to be here today to announce that June is Seniors Month. We're having 2 Spring Fests this year in Brampton. One on June the 3rd, which will be held at Knightsbridge, and one June the 10th at Flower City, and you're all invited to come for the luncheon. I hope you can come. Secondly, Mayor Jeffrey, councilors, I've said this many times, but I'd like to thank you people for all you do for the seniors in Brampton. It's amazing the facilities that we have and the way that you look after us. I've spoken to many of my friends in different parts of Ontario, and they can't believe what we have here in the city. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And also, I have one more thing to say. I want to tell you that Doug Williams, Jeff Bowman, Pat Fertini, and Martin Medeiros that serve on senior council are the finest gentlemen you'll ever meet. They are so good, and they put up with a lot, believe me. You know what I'm like, and I'm being nice today. I know you're all not used to it, but no, really, they do a great job. Thank you so very much, and I hope to see you all at Springfest. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for having me here today.
Wait, come back. Jeff Bowman, Councillor Bowman is going to make some comments to what you said.
Question.
Nobody's... Who dares? Councillor Bowman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to echo your sentiments, Donna, that the seniors play a very, very important role here in Brampton, and those of us on the Seniors Council fully respect the job that you and your executive do to keep all the Seniors Councils together, to keep everybody informed, and you make it much easier for us to deal with issues with seniors when it's coming from one place rather than 80 different groups throughout the city. So thank you very much, and we will see you on June 3rd and June 10th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Martin, and thank you to all the people on the Seniors Council, and it's good to hear councillors are showing up and answering your questions, so thank you for that feedback. We appreciate it. In my eagerness to get to the Seniors Month announcement, I failed to mention that there were no items on consent today. Are there any items any members of council wish to add to consent? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next announcement. which is regarding Recreation and Parks Month, also in June. Donna Lynn Rosa, Director of Recreation, Culture, Public Services, is here to make this announcement. Councillor Dillon is the council sponsor for this announcement. Councillor Dillon, did you want to speak afterwards? Okay. Welcome.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, members of council, executive leadership team, colleagues, and guests. I'm always proud to be in front of you as the Director of Recreation and Culture for the City of Brampton. I tell my friends it's the best job in the world, and part of it is that I get to work with people like Donna, who, by the way, had no notes, and I have copious notes. So I aspire to that. Today I'm here to talk about June is Recreation and Parks Month, and the theme for this year's June is Recreation and Parks Month is Play Every Day. Play every day. It's pretty simple. You can remember that. And really, play can take place in many styles, whether it's organized sport, formal. It can be a pickup road hockey game. It can be a leisurely bike ride on the city trails and paths. It can be a walk with your grandchild. Play every day. And if you play, you'll inspire those around you to play. It's just as important that we celebrate the benefits of being active each and every day. Each year we celebrate Parks and Recreation in June as a kickoff to the summer and as a way to increase awareness of the value and the benefits of recreation in our everyday lives, to our families and to our communities. Our recreation centers, parks, and trails offer a number of activities for all residents of Brampton. To find out what's happening in your neighborhood, please go to www.brampton.ca or pop into your local rec center. Ask them what's happening because there are activities across the city. As we get ready to celebrate June is Recreation and Parks Month, we'd like to highlight a special event that's going to kick off the month, and it's Play Every Day as the theme. It's on May 27th at Century Gardens. We'll be co-hosting the national kickoff for Parachute Safe Kids Week, a community event in partnership with Parachute Canada. The focus of this partnership is on injury prevention. And you may ask the connection there. Well, for example, wearing helmets when you're cycling, or concussion prevention among our sports groups. Drowning prevention is a big and near and dear to our heart initiative. It's about doing up your life jacket when you go into the water. Play should be part of every day, but being safe as you play should be part of your thinking. So this event is in collaboration with many community partners, including Peel Police, Region Appeal, our own drowning prevention team, our own fire and emergency services. The local school will be participating during the day where we'll have events for the youth, and we'll be teaching them as they play. Don't tell them we're teaching them. And in the evening, we'll invite the community between 4 and 8 p.m. To join, to learn, and to play a little bit with us. So please come to Century Gardens on May 27th for this kickoff and get yourself ready to play every day. Our goal is to keep kids safe at play every day, and we invite you to join us. Thank you.
Councillor Dillon.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Donna Lynn, to you and the staff. It's widely known that we do have some of the best recreation centers in all of the country. We also have the best staff as well. So you guys are doing an amazing job promoting healthy lifestyle and exercise to our residents, and also promoting it allowing them to do it in a safe manner as well. So I just want to thank you and staff for all your hard work. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And as someone who sets play as a priority in basketball, you're a good ambassador for that, so thank you. Okay, our next announcement is regarding a Walk Through Time Downtown Heritage Walking Tour. And Ms. Caceres, a Heritage Coordinator, Planning Infrastructure Services, is here to make this announcement. Councillor Williams, did you want to speak now? Welcome.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, members of council, senior management, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stavrila Caceres, Heritage Coordinator, and this is my colleague, Mandeep Gulati, Visualization Technologist, and thank you for having us here this morning. New technologies are constantly revolutionizing the way we live, particularly digital and social media. Need to check your bank statement? There's an app for that. Trying to figure out where to go for dinner? There's an app for that. Want to discover downtown Brampton's most important historic sites? I'm pleased to announce that there is now an app for that. This week, we are launching an app for one of Brampton's most popular publications, A Walk Through Time, the Downtown Heritage Walking Tour. As the city's first walking tour app, residents and visitors can experience downtown Brampton's unique heritage properties using their internet-enabled mobile devices. The web app is free of charge and works on all mobile devices across all platforms. The web app is available on the City of Brampton's website. Users will learn about a variety of civic, commercial, religious, and residential historic sites in downtown Brampton through engaging text and archival photographs. Through harnessing the power of digital media, we can bring Brampton's unique heritage assets to a wider audience simply through the palm of their hand. Outreach and education are fundamental pillars to our heritage program. To further engage Brampton's diverse community, the Downtown Heritage Walking Tour booklet has also been translated into Punjabi, the second most spoken language in Brampton. Hard copies of the translated walking tour booklet are available at City Hall and will be distributed at libraries and at the Newcomers Bus Tour. It will also be made available online. The Walking Tour web app and translation help bring history to life in new and engaging ways. Both projects will be promoted through a media release and advertised on social media. We will continue to explore innovative ways to expand our reach, to bring Brampton's history to more audiences, and to encourage everyone to explore and enjoy the cultural heritage assets of this great city. Thank you.
Councillor Willens.
Thank you very much, staff. I reviewed this when I got it from over the weekend. It's excellent. Not only reaches out to the newcomers of our community, but also the people and the residents in the other wards that normally wouldn't come downtown. It's a great way of getting people downtown. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So can I ask a question?
Please.
Is this app in existence in any other cities?
There are other walking tour apps available through other municipalities. This is the first for the city of Brampton.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving through our agenda 7.1. So council, I just wanted to, really this is just for the city councilors, but Mr. Fay, I just would pass the questions to you, make sure. So I just wanted to remind council that following our workshop on the facilitation, we were unable to finish all of the questions posed by the facilitator. And on Friday, the smaller group will be meeting, myself and Mr. Simmons will be meeting with the facilitator as well as Ms. Saga and Caledon to follow up on what the results of our workshop were with the other cities. And I wanted to make sure that we had the feedback from all the city councilors. So this is your nudge to get your homework done, because we want your input, so that we have some report back to the facilitator. So it's just a heads up. Okay? He's just here for receipt, Mr. Fay. Okay, our next item is the Region Appeal bylaw to prohibit water pipes. Are there any questions from members on this item? Do we have a motion? This is a motion moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Miles, receiving the Region Appeal bylaw to prohibit water pipes, and that the City Council consent to the enactment of the Regional Municipality Appeal bylaw to regulate water pipe smoking in the Regional Municipality Appeal. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried. Our next item is a staff report regarding 8.2 with regards to a special event road closure for the Ribbon Roll, Ward 3. Are there any questions from members? I have a motion moved by Councilor Medeiros, seconded by Councilor Bowman, that the report be received and that the closure be approved. All those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried. Next item is staff report 8.3 regarding the Canada 150 Fund activities base. This report was distributed to members and posted to the city's website last night. Are there any questions from members? Seeing none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Fortini, with the recommendations as in the report. All those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried. We're now to item 10. These are the committee reports or minutes. We have 5 sets of minutes today, and under council's meeting procedures, the committee chair introduces their committee report or minutes and summarizes the matters considered that are now being brought forward to council today for ratification. Councillor Gibson, you chaired Member Services Committee, which met on May 9th. The committee minutes are here for council's approval. I now pass the chair to you to lead council in the consideration of those minutes.
The May 9th Member Services Committee in front of you. I understand, Councillor Moore, you have questions you said at the beginning to it, so I'll entertain them now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize, I wasn't able to attend the Member Services Committee meeting. I was at an affordable housing conference in Toronto. And I wanted, so I have some questions on 9.1, I guess, page 4 of 6 and 5 of 6 on the agenda. First, let me just go back and say I'm glad that we finally have an event protocol standard, so that when the mayor's not able to attend something, we have staff and others have a protocol to follow for that. But on the staffing model, and it seems like we just keep going round in circles on this, of particular concern, I guess, for me when I read through the minutes was the issue around loo time by assistants. And there is a commitment from the city clerk that you would provide an aggregate number, and perhaps this is where I suggested we may have to go in camera to have a little bit more conversation about the loo time that members of council's assistants are accumulating. As I understand it, the staffing model provides for 2 assistants for each pair of councillors. But it is at the discretion of those pairs of councillors as to whether or not they want to have a one-on-one support model or a 2-for-2 support model. Is that correct, Mr. Clerk?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, Mr. Chair, that is correct. And that's consistent with council's resolution from 2015.
Okay. So regardless of what model the pair of councillors opt to use, Councillor Gibson and I use a 2-for-2 model. Others have opted for the 1-for-1. But does the same rules apply regardless of what model is employed for the assistants in terms of having authorized loo time required by the office manager before they accumulate that time?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes. These positions, there are 10 positions. They all have the same job description, a constituency assistant position, and they're essentially an office administrative position as established by the city in keeping with the intent of council, and they are all subject to the same administrative corporate procedures in regard to loo time, which is overtime must be pre-approved by the supervisor or manager in this case.
So can I ask a question? Is the loo time that has been accumulated by assistants for members of council, has all of that loo time, whether it's an aggregate or individual that we refer to here now, has it been authorized by the office manager or by yourself prior to being accumulated?
Through you, Mr. Chair, generally, yes. I don't have the specifics on every incident of loo time, but I do have aggregate numbers that I have compiled and I will be sending out to members of council. But essentially, the trend has been, since 2012, the amount of loo time per staff member has gone down, and that is what would be expected because the number of staff in the council office has increased from essentially 5 plus 2 assistants out front to 10. But the amount of lieu time, the average per month has been increasing, and that's a trend that we are seeing in the aggregate numbers that will be provided to all members of council.
And when will that be provided to members of council?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just received the information yesterday, so we just ran the analysis, and I'll be sending it out today.
Okay, and what is the reason that the lieu time is going up?
Through you, Mr. Chair, presumably there is more lieu time that staff are working. Either it's pre-approved or it's at the request of the councillor, or there's some confirmation from the member of council after the fact.
So when you report to council with the aggregate number, can you provide also, I guess, the parameters under which the lieu time is authorized? So presumably, lieu time is authorized. I know from time to time, Councillor Gibson have asked our administrative assistant to attend a town hall meeting and take notes. That would be something that would fall under her duties as assigned, and that would have to be taken after the regular work hours. So can we be provided with what would be considered legitimate accumulation that would be subject to authorization?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, and it's consistent with the job description, because the job description does set out, for example, occasional evening meetings, and the town hall meeting that you suggest is a good example of that.
Okay. Well, I guess, I hate speaking to rumor, but, rumor has it that there is a lot of time that's been accumulated, that a lot of that time has been accumulated in a way that has not been pre-authorized. And so these are questions I would have raised had I been able to attend the Member Services Committee meeting. But I think it's time that we put this whole issue to rest. There appears to be 2 sets of rules for the office staff. I look at the staff that were in place at the end of the previous term, who are still with us now, who are the full-time city employees, and I look at, by contrast, those who have been brought in, not all of them, but certainly some of them on contract, and there appears to be a different set of rules applied to them. So I think we need to get to the bottom of that. It's not healthy for the office environment generally, and I don't know whether that comes back here or whether it comes to member services, but I think until we have a full, open, and honest debate about what's going on with respect to the office support model, we're not going to be able to move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Spovieri?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On that same issue, I think that we have to really refine this issue of lieu time, and I think there has to be a very specific list of eligible occurrences or activities that would allow a councillor to authorize or for lieu time of their assistants. Because the way it is now, from my understanding, is that some members of council haven't, some of the assistants haven't had any lieu time at all, and some have. And to me, that sort of also gives me the impression that there's two standards. So if some members of council had no need to, and some do have the need, that's, to me, tells me that there's something inconsistent. And so I think that whether this should be brought back to the members' committee to provide a list of very specific where an assistant can be utilized after hours, and they have to meet those requirements. Otherwise, if it's at discretion of whether it be the counselor or whether it be the office supervisor or whether it be at the clerk's level, then I think that there's room for inconsistencies there, and also room for creating some animosity amongst the group of in the council office. So I believe that has to really be
Councilor,
refined.
are you moving a motion to put it back, that portion of specific activities to member services?
Well, Mr. Chairman, either it goes back to the committee or whether the clerk's department can provide us with some guidelines of what instances are, and then council can.
I would suggest that it be brought back to the committee so we could have some discussion around that, and perhaps the aggregate information that the clerk's going to provide could be there at the same time.
That'd be great, and I'd be really happy to move that
Move
motion,
that?
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. Yeah,
I think, Mr. Clerk, that's probably the best way to deal with it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes. However, the committee directed at the last meeting, on May 9th, for the clerk's office to send that information out, so we'll be sending that information out today. And it may not necessitate a referral back, because that item could be added just to the next agenda for discussion.
Yeah. But I think what Councilor Berger is talking about the specific activities. So if we wanted to change it, we could make that recommendation at that committee.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Moore? Speaking, there's a motion on the floor now, so,
Speaking to the motion of referral back to member services?
yeah. This specific issue on the specific activities for Lou time?
So, okay, I'm happy to support that referral. As I said, I think we need to have further discussion on this. I just have one more question through you to the clerk. I'd like to confirm that all of the staff in the office, whether they are full-time or contract staff, work for the corporation of the City of Brampton, subject to all the rules and regulations, and that they are not political staff.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Medeiros?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Speaking to the motion, I think the underlying factor, again, we're talking about Lou, but I think it goes back to the point in terms of, the situation that we have, this model that we have. And I firmly believe that, it's in our minutes, we discussed that the model isn't functioning well. I think this would be rectified, again, if councillors had their own budget, control, their own assistants. They were directly contracted to councillors like in other municipalities, and we took full responsibility to the way we utilize ours. I would love, take my assistant to events I attend at night and to other things, and I haven't had that opportunity as well, because I'm also very cognizant of the fact that, her schedule is such where I wouldn't want to put those demands on, but I also understand that, we shouldn't be abusing Lou time, and should be very specific to the activities that is benefits to the corporation. So I'm cognizant about, it's one thing political staff, and it's one thing working for the corporation. So I do think this is a much larger issue than Lou time, but I will support the motion from Councillor Silveri. But I do hope that we sort of open it up to really hammer down what model we want going forth. And if it's basically, our own political model or something else. I just think that's really the underlining factor. But this two-tier in terms of contract staff and full-time staff, that does become an issue. I don't know in terms of contract staff have more Lou time than full-time staff. I know I speak on what I can speak for. My assistant hasn't had Lou time besides our town halls. So anything else there on my part as well, I'm surprised that Lou time would be so high, because I haven't benefited from that myself or my assistant. So I look forward to the results myself. Thank you.
Just so we're clear, and the clerk can correct me if I'm wrong, the information he's going to bring back is not going to be employee-specific. Is that correct, Mr. Berg?
That's correct. The information that will be provided to members today is not employee-specific. It's generic and it's aggregate information. And as I understand, the referral motion is to discuss at the next Member Services Committee meeting the reasons for Lou time activities, specific reasons.
Exactly. But to Councillor Moore's point at the beginning about going in camera, that if there was going to be any specifics, that's where it would have to be. It wouldn't be in this portion today. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? First of all, let's take the motion. Councillor Sprovioli's motion, all in favor? Okay, that carries, so that's referred back. Any other questions on the minutes? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll pass them back to you for ratification.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Gibson, second by Councillor Moore, that the minutes be received and the recommendations as amended be approved as outlined in the subject minutes. All those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Councillor Moore, you chaired Planning Infrastructure Service Committee, which met on May 16th. The committee minutes are here for council's approval. I now pass the chair to you to lead council in consideration of the committee minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Members of council, just as a reminder, we had additions to the agenda. We added 5 delegations for an item that was not on the printed agenda, but council moved to suspend the rules of procedure to add 5 delegations to speak to the Valleyland LRT alternative alignment. We had 2 statutory public meetings, one in Ward 3 and one as a zoning bylaw amendment for Wards 1 and 3 for downtown parking exemptions. We had 2 reports under planning. One was an application under the Facade and Building Improvement Program for 36 and to 40 Main Street North, and one was in Ward 6, an application for a proposed draft plan of subdivision in Wards 1 and 2 from the Remington Group. We had 3 reports under engineering and construction. We had routine minutes from the Cycling Advisory Committee, the Brampton School Safety Council, and Councillor Fortini had a discussion item that was referred back to staff for a report on dry cutting concrete dust. We had some correspondence from the town of Caledon, and during question period, there was a question with regard to reopening and reconsideration of the 3 alternative alignments, and the clerk gave some advice on that. Are there any questions? Councillor Medeiros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just more of a comment. I just wanted to thank you, Chair Moore, and my council colleagues for having allowed, because I know that could have been a volatile situation with all the residents, and really it showed how democracy works. There was respect for the residents. They expressed their views. So I just want to say publicly thank you on their behalf and on my personal behalf.
Thank you, Councillor Medeiros. Seeing no other questions, Madam Mayor, I turn them back to you for ratification.
Thank you. A motion moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Fortini, that the minutes be received and the recommendations be approved. All those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Councillor Gibson, you chaired Community and Public Services Committee meeting, which met on May 18th. The committee minutes are here for council approval. I now pass the chair to you to lead council in consideration of the committee minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You have the minutes in front of you, council. We had quite a bit of items on the agenda. One, the report from surplus declaration of easement rights over city lands of the region of municipality appeal, water and sewer infrastructure. We had a pleasant but sad announcement that Dale Pine will be retiring after 21 years of service, and the chief and the committee congratulated Dale. I don't think Dale's here today, but we wish Dale all the best in his retirement. Also, a report from Dale on the emergency management, including elements of corporate sustainability initiatives and the corporation energy program, or the corporate energy program. We received a report from Bernice Morrison, manager of Arts and Culture Planning Services, on a transition of the Arts Council. I received a report from the director of 311 and Brampton 311 Joint Multiple Channel Review Update. We also had a report from Ann Pritchard, manager of Realty Services, on the surplus declaration of easement rights over city-owned region appeal, water and sewer in Ward 7. Also, manager Ann Pritchard had a report on the granting of utility easements over Garden Square in Ward 1. Another report from Ann Pritchard, Manager of Realty Services, Public Services, on downtown storage facility in Ward 1 at 80 Railroad Street. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Mayor, I pass them back to you. Oh, sorry, Madam Mayor, you're on the board?
No. Thank you.
Okay, pass them back to you for edification.
Thanks. I have a motion moved by Councillor Gibson, seconded by Councillor Wellens, that the minutes of the Community and Public Services Committee meeting be received and the recommendations be approved. All those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Councillor Medeiros, you chaired Corporate Service Committee, which met on May 18th. The committee minutes are here for council's approval. I now pass the chair to you to lead council in the consideration of those committee minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Members of council, you have before you the minutes of Corporate Services Committee. We had several items. One item was regarding regional waste and recycling card alignment, and I believe we had a public delegation regarding that, and then we had a very healthy discussion around ethnic media communications and program trial period results. At this point, I would ask if there are any questions or comments regarding corporate services. No. Back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Miles, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the minutes be received and the recommendations be approved. All those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Councillor Bowman, you chaired Economic Development Committee, which met on May 18th. The committee minutes are here for council's approval. I now pass the chair to you to lead council in the consideration of those committee minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. We met briefly in council and had a very short presentation on some of the sites we were going to see as we took a walk downtown Brampton and visited some of the new places of employment, some of the places that have taken advantage of the facade improvement program, and then we adjourned the meeting and we went for a walk downtown, and I think it was a great walk. It was a different sort of meeting and a lot of great comments. Got to see all the new places, and some of the things in downtown Brampton are looking phenomenal. So I see we have some comments on the board. Councillor Willens.
Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to thank the staff from the area central office for the tour. It was well received by the council members, and I would just encourage it's unfortunate that Madam Mayor and Councillor Dillon were not there for it. It was a great tour, and it really opened a lot of our eyes on what's been done and approving from a simple thing from the facade program, how much has improved downtown. So I encourage the councillors that didn't attend, or the ones that had to leave early, to maybe attend the rest of the tour. But it was great. Thanks you again, Dennis, for your staff for organizing that, and it was an excellent tour.
Thank you, Councillor Willens. Councillor Miles.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Anybody who says that there's nothing happening in downtown Brampton needs to come to downtown Brampton. And I live in downtown Brampton, come down every day and walk, but I was amazed at what we saw. And what we saw was behind the doors, but 7 new amazing businesses we visited in the downtown with beautiful facades in the front, but I think more importantly is the revitalization that is happening in our downtown. People need to know about it, and people need to come into the downtown. We visited a brand new bar and restaurant that is opening up on Main Street, across the street where Stevenson Furs used to be. International Furs used to be. We have a new entrepreneur. This is his second building in the downtown, and he is going to be opening up a phenomenal restaurant in our downtown. We also have a new yogurt and Italian food bar in the downtown. Going on that tour and walking around and seeing what people are doing and seeing the private investment in the downtown, I think is amazing, and it really reinforces the work and the money that the investment that the municipality has made in the downtown. So things are happening, and the downtown is alive and vibrant. nearly every day of the week. On weekends, there's continuous activities. So it's really important that we get the message out to the community to come down to the historic downtown, visit the museum, visit the restaurants, visit Gage Park, because there are some really great activities here for people of all ages and for every member of the family. So it's good news, and we just got to keep talking about it and encouraging more investment in the downtown. I'm waiting for the really nice ladies' clothing retailers to come into the downtown. But if we can just take a minute to promote too, there is an amazing consignment store that is opened up, and they are very busy, so worth the trip to the downtown, ladies. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Miles. Councillor Sparvieri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I also am happy to say that I was very impressed with what I saw, not only in the facade program, but the amount of the investment that the private owners are putting into these old buildings. It just baffles my mind that people are putting in hundreds of thousands of dollars investment in these old buildings that they feel that there's a future for the downtown Brampton in attracting huge crowds to come downtown Brampton. And I believe that from what I saw, that the downtown will become a restaurant destination, a regional restaurant destination for the whole region, where people will come down and enjoy the good, fine restaurants and also enjoy the atmosphere of the heritage district of the city. And as I mentioned to Mr. Kudajar in our tour, I believe it would be really worthwhile if we could start putting together a restaurant guide so that we can start publishing this to online, or make it available to the public so that the people would know exactly the sorts of restaurants we are developed coming to the downtown, and hopefully the word will spread around that Friday night, Thursday night, Sunday, Saturday, Brampton, downtown Brampton, a place to go, having a very variety of meals, a variety of restaurants and choices. So I hope that we can, Mr. Chairman, we can start working on that, and because there's a lot happening, and I'm really glad to see that people really have faith in and invest in their money. So whether this facade program actually stimulated this whole activity, it probably did help, but it's a good news story for sure, and it's great to see what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sparvieri. Councillor Moore.
Well, thank you, and I think the idea of having a restaurant guide for the downtown, maybe we can use the same platform as the Heritage Tour to create an app for technology for the restaurants that are in the downtown. I think that's something that we can take back to the BIA, the four of us who sit on the BIA board, and have that conversation there. What was really interesting was when we went around to visit the owners and the investors, they talked to each of to us as a group, and they talked about the challenges of doing a project in the downtown, with whether it's the older building or some of the complexities that the downtown has that you don't have when you build somewhere else. But a common theme was how highly they spoke about the city of Brampton in supporting them through the process. And this was more than just the facade improvement program, it was the building improvement, which was the largest part of the grant that these folks took advantage of. But they spoke very highly of our staff. And I think that made each one of us particularly proud to know that our staff were there to help triage these folks through some of the complexities, whether it was with the utility companies or whether it was just helping them to coordinate some of the work and putting them in contact with the right person at the city to help navigate through a problem that they were having. And the other thing was that they had a passion and a deep commitment to the downtown, every one of them, whether it was David Capel or the Russo brothers or Pauline Dinner from the new Carve restaurant that's opening. They just had tremendous hope and passion for their investment and for their hopes for the future in downtown. It was thank you, Councillor Bowman, or Chair Bowman, for coordinating that. I think we need to step outside these council chambers more often as a group and do some tours like that, whether it's the downtown or whether it's fire stations. I think most of us generally step inside the recreation centers, but there's other civic infrastructure that we don't get an opportunity to visit and to appreciate. I know Acting Chief Patushka took Councillor Miles and I on a tour of the new facility out there at Williams Parkway, just an exceptional addition to the city's infrastructure. And we do those kinds of things for the residents, but it creates a good and positive work environment for our staff as well. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Moore. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good point, and that was what's changed. And it made me think about just a year ago when we had people lining up here talking to us and people at the Rose Theater talking to us, and some of those delegations said, there's nothing in the downtown. And I don't think anybody could have said it any better than Councillor Miles just did at the beginning, that, if you don't think there's anything in the downtown, then you're not in the downtown, you're not there, you're outside of it talking. So many things have happened over the last number of years. It wasn't that long ago where people would say that the only people who were spending money in the downtown was the city was spending money in the downtown. And that's changed. That's changed a lot now. There's investment. People are spending a lot of their money in investments, as somebody said, hundreds and thousands of millions of dollars being spent in the downtown. And we can all sit back and look and say, well, what's changed? Well, it's not one thing that's changed, but it's a combination of a lot of things. The facade improvement program has really helped. But I attribute it more so, not 100% to, because it's a lot of different things, to our staff. I think the best thing that we ever did was after we said, we had Hayes, and that started the catalyst of going, but we said we wanted an office of the downtown. And council created an office of the downtown, and that staff has been out there, and I think about 100% of those people that are now investing and putting money into downtown were brought in by our staff. And I continually get comment from people, I know Councillor Moore does too, that if it wasn't for our staff here, getting them through the hoops and red tape that they have to go through at any city hall, then they might have left. And it wasn't too long ago when I remember I had to ask Chief Cuttajar a few times to go out and help people get their, I hated to do it because, it's one thing to have a staff go out, when you ask the chief to go out and help save a business that is going through so much red tape to get things done. And I don't know how many times, Chief Cuttajar, you saved businesses staying in the downtown by convincing staff that we have to work with them to make it happen. And I thank you for that. But now we've got a whole office under you, under your direction, doing it. And I don't want to mention names, but, Anthony Wong and Bob Darling are two of the people that are heading up a lot of the stuff that's going on. And I'm not sure if they're here today, but the comments that I get from those investors are, if it wasn't for those staff out there that they could work with on a day-to-day basis, getting through all those hoops to get things done, they wouldn't be here. And it started off by those people doing that good work to get that done, but now it's a real team effort. All the staff now are doing that. And I think everybody now is starting to recognize how important the downtown is and how important investment is to a downtown. And despite what some people say, it can happen without a lot of other things. And it's just a combination of things that make it happen. But it's good news, very good news. I did a tour of a restaurant a couple weeks ago that I was just amazed the amount of money being put into as Councillor Spovieri says, an old building. It's fantastic when they do that. bringing back some of these old buildings that were falling apart, and we got to keep promoting it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Councillor Dillon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to echo some of the things that councillors have said. We're doing a good job. I think staff is also doing a good job as well, but I do want to make note where I don't think we've moved as quickly as we could have, and I don't think we're where we need to be as well. And like I said, I do commend staff. I had a chance to sit down with some of the business owners as well, and again, I commend them. But if you do go to other municipalities, for example, I went down to Port Credit a couple of weeks ago, and they have essentially what's a restaurant district. If you go to Ottawa, they have the Marketplace, which is near House of Commons, Parliament Hill, and so I brought my kids up to the Garden Square to watch a movie. There's a lot of activities, there's a lot of events, there's a lot of things to be excited about, but again, we need to also realize that there's a lot of improvement that we do have left, a lot more to go, and I think we need to move a little bit quicker. I do some of the hesitancy by some of the business owners or people who want to develop here is the water main project. I think we're going to be updated on that soon. The river walk as well. So we're not where we need to be. We got a lot of improvement, but there are some positive signs that I have seen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dillon. I thought you were going to remind everybody the basketball game is on the big screen tonight.
And the basketball game is on the big screen.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further questions or comments, I pass it back to you, Madam Mayor, for ratification.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Williams, that the minutes be received and the recommendations be approved. All those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Before we move on to regional council business, I just wanted to put on to the record that Councillor Palashi is away at a NAWTEC conference on behalf of the Region Appeal, so he's away on other municipal business. Now we get to the Region Appeal Council meeting of May 26th, which is tomorrow, and Michelle McCollum, Victoria Mountain from the CAO's office, provided council members a briefing note on for this meeting. They're here today in case members would like to ask any questions or have any comments. Did anybody want a presentation? I don't see anybody.
I'm fine.
Thank you for the work that you've done. I have a motion moved by Councillor Gibson. Sorry? Councillor Medeiros.
I just thought I'd appreciate a quick presentation, a quick synopsis, if that's possible.
Through you, Madam Mayor. On the agenda tomorrow, there are two delegations. The first is to recognize St. John Ambulance, Peel Dufferin Branch, for 50 years of services in the region of Peel, and the second is an update on the TRCA's Partners in Project Green program. There are two information reports related to health, one regarding vector-borne diseases and the response to measles cases in Peel, and there are also two letters from the province regarding a review of their Healthy Babies, Healthy Children program and new amendments to the Ontario Public Health Act standards and related protocols. There are two reports related to human services. The first provides an update on the development of the Local Employment Planning Council pilot in Peel-Halton, and City of Brampton staff participates on this council and supports its work. The second is regarding Peel as a potential pilot site for the province's Basic Income Guarantee Study. There are also two communications related to human services, and the first is regarding Brampton's endorsement of Peel's Affordable Transportation Pilot Program, and the second is from Premier Kathleen Wynne regarding new investments and regulatory changes to support the use of schools as community hubs. There are 7 reports related to enterprise programs and services. The first is the quarterly procurement activity report for information, and the second is regarding the funding of capped tax increases. It recommends the approval of a bylaw to establish a percentage by which tax decreases for the commercial, industrial, and multi-residential property classes are limited for the 2016 taxation year. The third provides an update on the 2015 labor market performance appeal, which is information that City of Brampton staff welcomes, as it helps inform the preparation and monitoring of employment forecasts and density for Brampton. The fourth report provides an overview of the review process for the expansion of Peel's urban boundary in Mississauga. The fifth recommends the approval of a proposed risk appetite philosophy for the region to adopt in pursuit of its strategic plan and term of council priorities. And the final two reports are the minutes of the Audit and Risk and Emergency Management Program Committee meetings held on May 5th. There's also an email from the Association of Municipalities of Ontario requesting nominations for the 2016 to 2018 AMO Board of Directors. And in terms of public works, there are two reports. The first recommends the approval of a stopping prohibition in Caledon, and the second recommends a contract award for road engineering services in Mississauga. There are also two letters related to public works. The first is from the province regarding the City of Waukesha's water diversion application, and the second is from Halton Regional Council, providing a copy of the resolution and report on the nomination of a Halton Regional Representative on the Halton-Hamilton Source Protection Committee. And the final item is a request from Street Soccer Canada to delegate to the June 9th Regional Council meeting regarding their social enterprise laundry business. Those are all the items on the agenda tomorrow.
Councilor Maduro.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Item 9.2, email from Kathleen Wynn. So regarding the community hubs, what is that exactly? We're reading the report, so when we're talking about regulatory changes and new investments, what type of impact would that have? Does that mean community groups, or is there a specific, what's the criteria of a community hub? And if you can't get an answer now, feel free to report back to me, that's fine.
Okay. Through you, Madam Mayor. My apologies, Michelle. Through you, Madam Mayor. That's something that we will review and get back to you on. I believe that is something for education establishments, that they are mandated to review that, but we'll get more information on that and provide it to you ahead of the meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, and through the chair, I'm just wondering if this would be an opportunity for us to, because I'm always getting approached by organizations, community groups who are looking for space, and they always tell me they can't get space through our parks and recreation facilities, and they always ask about schools. So I'm just wondering, is this an opportunity for us to promote it as an option? I don't need an answer back, so if you guys can get back to me on another time, I'd appreciate that. And then after the last one is item 10.5. So I see that being a member of the Audit and Risk Committee, being Vice Chair, I was really intrigued about the risk appetite for the strategic plan. Item 10.5.
Sorry.
So it's regarding the risk appetite for the strategic plan in terms of council priorities. Is this something, I know we're not as developed as theirs, but is this something that we would want to emulate and look at following here at the City of Brampton in terms of, one thing is a risk analysis, but even looking towards a strategic plan? And I'm sure we're reporting on a different manner, but is this something that would be of interest, or that you think there might be some merit for us to be doing the same? I went through the exercise, and I was really fascinated. I thought it was an excellent exercise, because it really allowed councillors to weigh into what our priorities and where we think that we'd give staff more leverage to deliver on something, or maybe have a little bit more, have more space to be a little bit more innovative and take a little bit more risk. So I just thought that was a really interesting way of looking at it. Again, it's not pertinent to tomorrow's meeting, but I just thought it'd be something that we as staff might want to look at and apply to our strategic plan going forward as well.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you for that suggestion, Councillor Medeiros. We'll take that back in review.
Thank you.
Mr. Simmons, did you want to? No. Okay. I have a motion by Councillor Gibson, second by Councillor Fortini, that the verbal briefing be received. All those in favour? All those opposed? It's carried. We can now deal with item 19. This is public question period. This is where we invite members of the public to come forward to the podium, ask any questions about any decision made by council at today's meeting. There's a 15-minute limit for all questions and answers. Are there any questions from the public about a decision made by council at today's meeting? Mr. Sanderson, are you coming down to ask a question? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a comment first and then I have a question.
Sure.
So if you can just give me a little chance here, I just want to speak to the downtown and how well it's come along. And I disagree with Councilor Dillon. I wish he was
here, saying that it's been slow. It has been slow, but the reason it's slow is because of funding, obviously. So I can't say enough about the downtown and how it's come alive. I live in the downtown. I live and breathe the downtown. I see what's happening in the downtown. The other night at the basketball game, for instance, I say there was hundreds, but there was probably thousands of people that was right up to the Rose Theatre. My question is, and just last night when I went out for my walk, on, I believe it's 85, 87 Queen Street West. There's a little dry cleaner store there. And this happens way too often, where there was a tree cut down on Queen Street just recently, and there was a cable that was draped up over that tree and then come back down onto Queen Street. So it was out of the way, didn't bother anybody. But now the tree's cut down, now these poor people have this great big, and it's coax cable, running down our driveway from the backyard, from the Southwest Quadrant building, and it comes right straight down, and it's just draped right across, almost in front of the doorway. Now, they've called Rogers, they've called all kinds of other people. I would ask, can somebody go by and help these poor people out to get rid of this cable that drapes across the front of their, store? Everything else, when it gets looked after in the downtown, there's these little things that really annoy the people in the downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanderson. I'm sure the staff have made a note of it, and we'll get someone to look into that. Thank you. Any other questions from the public? Okay. We're now at the adoption of city bylaws to give effect to city council meetings made at this meeting and previous meetings. I have a motion moved by Councillor Willems, second by Councillor Gibson, that the bylaws before council at its meeting be given the required number of readings taken by the mayor and the city clerk and the corporate seal affixed thereto. All those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Our next item of business is item 21. This is the closed session business. I have a motion moved by Councillor Fortini, second by Councillor Bowman. That council proceed into closed session to discuss matters pertaining to the following. 21.1, minutes closed session, City Council, May 11th, 2016. 21.2, minutes closed session, Planning and Infrastructure Services Committee meeting, May 16th, 2016. 21.3, note to file closed session, Committee on Public Services Committee, May 18th, 2016. 21.4, report from Ann Pritchard, Manager, Realty Services, dated May 20th, 2016, regarding property acquisition matter, Ward 8, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. And 21.5, report from Ann Pritchard, Manager, Realty Services, dated May 20th, 2016, regarding property acquisition matter, Ward 10, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. All those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried. This meeting is now recessed in order for council to consider this closed session business in the council committee room. All meetings of council must start and end in public session. After the closed session is completed, council will reconvene in public session in the council chambers to complete its business on today's agenda, including reporting out on any actions arising from closed session portion of the meeting, passing a confirming bylaw to confirm the proceedings and decisions of this meeting, and adjourning this meeting. Council, if I could get you to be back in our closed session in about 15 minutes for recess. Turning into public session, in the interest of transparency and open government, I will report in public session any outcomes from today's closed session business. As a result of our closed session today, I wish to report the following. 21.1 minutes of the closed session, City Council, May 11th. These minutes were acknowledged by Council. 21.2 minutes of the closed session, Planning and Infrastructure Services Committee meeting of May 16th. These minutes were acknowledged by Council. 21.3, note to file closed session Community and Public Services Committee meeting, May 18th. This note to file was acknowledged by Council. 21.4, the report from Ann Pritchard, Manager Realty Services, dated May 20th, regarding a property acquisition matter in Ward 8, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. This matter was considered, and direction to staff provided in closed session, as well as direction that the following motion be considered in public session. Moved by Councillor Miles, seconded by, is this Councillor Fortini? Okay. Councillor Fortini, I think you should get into medicine, really, I do. Number 1, that the budget amendment be approved and a new capital project be established in the amount of $50,000 to undertake requisite due diligence to determine if it is in the best interest of the municipality to pursue the acquisition of the Riverstone Clubhouse and Golf Course, and report back to Council on the findings prior to the irrevocable date of the offer, with a funding of $50,000 transferred from the General Rate Stabilization Reserve. I have a motion. So all those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried. Uh, 21.5. Report from Ann Pritchard, Manager Realty Services, dated May 20th, regarding a property acquisition matter, Ward 8, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land to the municipality or local board. This matter was considered, and direction to staff was provided in closed session. Our next item of business is item 22, the confirming bylaw, and I have a motion by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Gibson, to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on May 25th. All those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried. We're now at the part of the meeting everybody looks forward to. Adjournment. Our next meeting is Wednesday. We will get there, I think. No, it's not. Not a council. Our next meeting is June 8th at 9:30 in the morning, which is a Wednesday, and Wednesday, June 22nd at 9:30. Before adjourning today's meeting, we have 4 proclamations to announce on behalf of council. As you heard earlier in the meeting, Parachute Safe Kids Week, May 20th to June 5th, to be given to Parachute Canada. Intergenerational Day, June 1st, to be given to Intergenerational Society. Seniors Month, June 2016, to be given to the Ontario Senior Secretariat, and Bike Month, June 2016, to be given to the Cycling Advisory Committee. Thank you, Council, for your respectful consideration of our decisions today. Thank you to staff for providing information and advice. As I indicated, our next meetings are on June 8th and June 22nd at 9:30 in the morning. I have a motion moved by Councillor Dillon and seconded by Councillor Willen. The Council now adjourned to meet again for the regular meeting of Council on June 8th, 9:30, or at the call of the Mayor. All those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried. Meeting is adjourned. Please enjoy the rest of your day.